So everything starts with you, specifically your metabolic hunger set point. That means I'm not going to tell you don't eat till this time or start eating at this time or stop eating at this time. Starting tomorrow morning, you are not going to eat. You're going to not eat until you're hungry. We're going to use this information to determine exactly what your timed eating protocol will be. But first, let's find out what your metabolic hunger set point is. So, what you're going to do, and again, I'm going to back up. Your timed eating protocol is your most important thing. But before we establish that, we need to see when you actually physically get hungry. Because if your GH warrior fasting does not fit into your current lifestyle, you probably won't stick with it. So your task is very simple. You're going to have dinner tonight at your normal time, and then keep track of what time you eat. That's how we're going to find out what your metabolic hunger set point is. So when you eat or drink your last calorie, eat or drink, I repeat, your last calorie of the night tonight, track that down. And it can be as simple as this. Start fast and say you ate dinner at 7, but then you had some popcorn at 8, and you finished the popcorn at 8:30. This is when you start the fast. That's what you want to keep track of. When you actually start fast. And that's your last calorie. This is your start fast time. Boom. Now, the next day, ask yourself, am I hungry? And if you're not hungry, don't eat. Don't eat because it's breakfast time. We're going to actually redefine breakfast into break fast. My challenge to you and your challenge to yourself is to postpone eating for as long as it feels comfortable. And when you ask yourself, am I hungry? Are you physically hungry? Or is it psychologically? I'm going to just put psycho, mentally. Or is it social cues making you hungry? Sometimes we think we're hungry, but we're really not. And there's emotional. I'm going to ask you to try to know the difference between, that was a pretty weird emotional. There we go. That looks a little better. To know the difference between why you're hungry and to really try to wait until you're physically hungry. But when you're physically hungry, eat. And say you're doing this on a Tuesday. Now, you're going to make a little arrow. And Wednesday, you're going to say, there we go. Now, Wednesday, you usually have breakfast at 9 a.m. You don't. You wait. And then at 10 o'clock, you realize you're still not hungry. 11 o'clock, you're starting to get a little hungry. Now, here's what I want you to do. Drink. When you feel hungry, test it. My handwriting is interesting. Here, feel hungry? Drink 16 ounces of water to make sure you really are. And after 16 ounces of water, wait 12 minutes. You can wait longer if you want. If you are still famished and hungry, then eat. And whatever time you eat, say it is at 12:30 p.m., write it down. That's all you have to do. That's their first step of finding out what your metabolic hunger set point is. Now, your objective is to do this for 3 days. And each day, I'll get to the science in the next video. There's lots of science here. Each day, you want to go a little bit further. So say on the first day, you eat at noon. Next day, maybe 2 p.m. Next day, maybe 6 p.m. And you can download this timed eating protocol tracker. You'll use it later after we actually set up your time eating protocol. Or you can just write it on a piece of paper. You can keep it in your notes on your phone or device. But this data is super important. And here's the deal. Your body will naturally get less hungry. You have more than enough fat to keep you alive for days. In fact, you can go up to, like some studies say, 3 months. This is for people in the aging process, like in their 80s, 90s, 100s, that are no longer really exercising or anything. So you can see it's from the dying process. So these are people that are in the dying process already. They still have 70 days. But here is the kicker. In order for this to work, water must be a warrior ritual. Like water is your new food when you're postponing food. So every time you come to a part of the day we normally eat, instead of eating the food, if you're not hungry, drink 20 ounces of water. I'll get to the science behind this later. I don't want these videos to be too long. And people get curious, how much water should I drink in a day? 8 to 10 ounces for every hour you're awake. Now, the moral of this story is you are teaching your body how to use fat for energy again, but you're not going to teach it overnight. We're going to do it gradually in a way that works for you. So for the next 3 days, starting tomorrow, you're going to find out what your metabolic hunger set point is. On day 4, your 1 week will start. All right, more on that later. I'll get into the science of this in the next video.